When Calls the Heart Season 7 Episode 6, Believe, Recap. When Calls the Heart, which has been airing on Hallmark Channel since 2014, is currently airing its 11th season. The show recently aired the 6th episode, Believe, on the 12th of May 2024, and fans thoroughly enjoyed the show. But those who haven't watched the episode are still wondering about what happened in the show. Let's break down what just happened in the 6th episode. The episode began with the return of Thomas Higgins, who is now being portrayed by James Cott. Thomas is now the head of the Valley District School Board and is still on the mission to make Elizabeth Thornton's life miserable, just like in the past. Elizabeth was shocked to see Thomas after such a long time, as she had a history with him. In the past, Thomas had tried to remove her as a teacher when she rejected him. Now that Elizabeth has to work under him, he asked him to meet with him later to walk her through everything about the current scenario. However, Elizabeth knows him and his character. So, she hesitated to meet him in private. In another scene, Thomas returned to see Elizabeth and asked her about the end of her engagement with the governor. But Elizabeth didn't want to talk about it and changed the topic to the school board protocols. However, Thomas asked her to meet for dinner and discuss it there, which Elizabeth clearly mentioned as inappropriate. Thomas still didn't lose hope and emotionally blackmailed her by telling her that she was still holding her past grudges and risking the lives of students. Thomas then left her and noted that he would return tomorrow. As Elizabeth was shocked by his behavior, she ran into Nathan, who asked her if she was okay. Later, at night, Rosemary met Elizabeth, who shared about Thomas being in town. Rosemary then asked her if he propositioned her again, to which Elizabeth said yes. However, Elizabeth noted that she wasn't sure this time. As Elizabeth seemed confused, Rosemary suggested she talk to Nathan about it. The next day, Thomas came to meet Elizabeth at the schoolhouse, and she shared that the book's lessons were a bit rigid and prescriptive. She also clarified that every child was different and that she couldn't address specific student needs under those guidelines. Thomas then noted that he could make some compromises if she was willing to do the same. The very moment, Anna walked in and Thomas left the place, asking Elizabeth to consider what he just said. As Elizabeth and Thomas's conversation intensified in another scene, she couldn't stop herself from sharing it with Nathan. She shared how Thomas was the director of the college then and that he took a special interest in her and her career. However, when she turned him down, he made her life miserable and threatened her job. She shared how she is now scared that he would threaten her job, and the students as he has all the power. But Nathan counseled her that it was what he wanted her to think. Nathan made her remember that she was really strong and that she should never run from a challenge. He also suggested she do something so that Thomas would never mess with her, Anna or anyone in the future. In another scene, Elizabeth met Thomas and clarified that she wouldn't meet him over dinner tonight or any night. Thomas then shared how other women benefited from him by being nice to him. Elizabeth then clarified that she would certainly not meet him at a dinner table. That's when Thomas suggested she look for another career. The very moment, Nathan walked into the office and shocked Thomas by sharing that he just confessed to abuse of office. But Thomas tried to outplay Nathan by mentioning that it was entrapment and that he would get away with the help of his connections. Later, at Lucas's office, Thomas talked to Lucas and Edwin and shared how Elizabeth and Nathan tricked and tried to frame him. He also asked Lucas to help him out of it. However, Lucas wanted to know the entire story and talk to Elizabeth and Nathan before he could make any decisions. Lucas then learned that Elizabeth wasn't the only woman who had been a victim of Thomas. So, Lucas ensured that Thomas would face a trial and suspended him until then.